Thank you. Can we have my presentation up? Anybody? Okay. So thank you, first of all, for the organizers for inviting me to speak here. It's a great pleasure. So I hope the Israel's experience will be actually relevant for Greece. I'll give you a brief history of Israel's success in agricultural development, and hope it will be useful. So first of all, let's see how much agriculture increased in Israel over the last few decades. And we look at value added in agriculture, which is output minus purchase inputs, increased 25 times since the 1950s to 2010. Now, the easiest way to increase production is, of course, to spend more inputs in agriculture. But if you look at traditional inputs like land and water, they have not increased over the years, and labor has actually decreased over the years. The only thing that increased is capital, but this increase in capital stock actually stopped in the middle of 1980s. So the remaining increase in agricultural production is mostly due to technological improvements. Now, I want to correct a little misconception here. Israel is not self-sufficient in food. We are self-sufficient in fresh agricultural products, and we also export some of those, but we import about 90% of our grains. We simply don't have enough water to grow grains in Israel. We don't have comparative advantage in grains, and that's fine. We don't strive to get this food self-sufficiency. We prefer to spend our scarce water resources on high-value crops and import the grains. Now, what are the secrets behind Israel agriculture development? I'll give you 4 of them. Please count with me. First of all is necessity. As I said before, Israel is a desert. Most of Israel is a desert. There is a severe water shortage, and that's a necessity that had to bring up solutions. And one statement made by the first Prime Minister of Israel sometime in the 1950s is that if Israel does not eliminate the desert will eliminate Israel. And that has led to huge investments in agriculture that have led to this progress in agricultural production. So the major public investment in agriculture is in infrastructure. And when we talk about infrastructure, it's mostly water. Israel built the national water carrier in the early 60s to bring water from the north to the south, to the desert, and later on invested in treatment facilities. We now treat more than 90% of our water in Israel over sewer, and about 75% of those are used for irrigation. This is a world record. I think the number 2 country in the world is Spain, which uses about 25% of the treated water in agriculture. And then the third phase is desalination, because this is not sufficient, and now we desalinate water, and now the problem is not the quantity of water, but the price, because desalinated water are more expensive. The second element of government spending is on research and development, developing drip irrigation, the famous drip irrigation technology, and some other achievements, and we're still working on those, mostly with government support. The third element is extension service that used to be public, now it's privatized, but this was a major element in agricultural development in Israel. And the other secret is human capacity. Now, Israeli farmers were initially very different from farmers all over the world because they came from overseas. They came with talents and education and entrepreneurship, and they were able to create this vivid agricultural sector with their human capacity. And it's important to remember that technologies are not sufficient. They need to be implemented. And to be implemented, they need the human factor to be right there. The other element is cooperation. Israel started with a network of cooperatives, both at the village level, the famous kibbutz communal society, and the Moshav cooperative village, but also cooperation at the regional level with purchasing inputs collectively and processing plants for agricultural products, and at the national level, the marketing of agricultural products and the financial services given to agriculture. Now, this has mostly collapsed during the financial crisis that we had in the mid-1980s, but today we have a new generation of cooperatives Just to give you a few examples, the grape cooperative that covers most of the production of Israel, the banana cooperatives, we have three banana cooperatives, and we have a date cooperative, and these are examples for cooperatives that are not developed by the country, by the government, but by grassroots development of farmers, acknowledging the advantages of cooperation. Now, agricultural development has a flip side. The flip side is that there is oversupply of agricultural products in Israel, and therefore the price is going down. And if you look at the price of agricultural products received by farmers, it went down by almost 50% between 1980 and 2000. And of course, this leads to decreased income of farmers and the exit of agriculture by farmers. You look at the number of self-employed farmers in Israel going down from about 75,000 to less than 20,000 farmers today. And if you look at the rural employment in Israel, about 85% of rural employment back in the 60s was in agriculture. Today, it's only 6%. Now, when I say rural, you have to remember Israel is a small country, and most rural communities are within commuting from a major employment center. So we are in good shape in that sense. But this is something that you have to take into account when agriculture develops. We have to find employment for people who are exiting the sector. So to summarize my short presentation, what are the keys to agriculture development that we can learn from Israel's experience? First of all, you need to have the human capital in place. You need to have the physical capital, mostly infrastructure and machinery. You need to have the technology coming in. Organization of the sector and cooperation is one element of the organization. And we need a strong and determined government support to facilitate all these things. And you have to remember that when agriculture develops, farm income goes down, and you need to find, at the same time, employment and income sources for the people who are leaving the agricultural sector. Thank you very much.